Hold up, before you get to watching this video, let me talk to you for a second. Hit that bell down below and subscribe to the Fitz Take Podcast YouTube channel so you'll know when every episode is dropping or if something has been posted on this page. Also, be sure to follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. Now back to the episode.
Where we're talking about LSU. The Tigers lose their second game of the regular season, falling to Texas A&M 38-23, in which the Tigers were held to just 6 points in the second half. Texas A&M outscored them. What is this? 14 plus 17. My quick math, my brain not working. I think that's 31. Yeah, Texas A&M outscored LSU 31-6 there in the second half. Um, in a loss where Mike Elko, the head coach of the Aggies, decided to make a quarterback change and take out Connor Wegman and put in Marcel Reed, and that was pretty much the X factor of why the Tigers weren't able to get anything going and why they were not able to stop the Texas A&M offense. Elijah, the question we pose today is who gets the most blame in this loss? Is it the defense? Is it Brian Kelly? Is it special teams with the 3 field goals they didn't get? Who gets the most blame out of this loss?
I think the most rarest blame that I'm going to give, and I usually don't blame it, but the offensive play caller. Um, special teams, don't get me wrong, all 3 of those guys messed up, but the offensive play caller could have been a little bit more creative. The run game struggled. Durham struggled, but I think that like in today's game, you use the receiver a little bit more, more than just in pass games. And like we talked about last night on the stream or Saturday night on the stream, those guys, you could move them in jet motions when they blitz those gaps and take away those gaps. I mean, they just kept doing the same thing over and over and over, and that's what I think where LSU failed at, because I think that they have the speed on the outside, the perimeters. They have the running back. And, the offensive line is good enough, and Garrett Nussmeier is good enough as well. But sometimes it's going to come down to coaching, man, and that's what I think it was. And Joe Sloan is not a bad offensive coordinator at all. He is a very, very good, very creative guy when it comes to that. But I think he should have helped himself just a little bit more than using some receiver reversers or anything to open up his offense, because the defense played lights out until the second half. Uh, but, like I said, you want to keep that defense off the field, and you don't want this game to be longer than what it should have been, and that's what it was for LSU, especially with Reed only completing 2 passes for 70 yards. I mean, that's disrespectful in the college world, because you completed 2 passes for 70 yards and you won a game against a top 10 team in the nation. So, again, man, I just think it was on Joe Sloan making this game a little longer than what it needed to be.
Yeah, I agree with you to some extent. I feel like he could have gotten a little bit more creative. Obviously you have the scheme that you have, and you have the plays that you have, you have the players that you have, so you have to work with what you can. CJ Daniels went out and was back in a walking boot. Chris Hilton was not as effective because this was his first game playing of the season, so you're essentially getting a week 1 receiver. So you basically had Mason Taylor, Kyron Lacey, and Aaron Anderson out there catching passes for you. But for me, I saw people say that this falls on us. It's very easy to pile on the quarterback because they're the quarterback. He threw 3 interceptions. He does deserve some blame. I saw some people piling on Blake Baker for, not game planning for Marcel Reed at all, because Greg Penn had a quote that I saw on Twitter of them saying like they were surprised by having Marcel Reed in the game plan. I don't think that much of the blame needs to go in that direction, because you don't prepare for the backup quarterback. You just don't. You prepare for the starter. If Connor Wegman was the guy that was starting, you prepare for him. Obviously at the end of the game, Brian Kelly said that, if I'm any team right now, I'm running with the quarterback because we can't stop it right now. But I feel like the brunt of the blame has to fall on the shoulders of the offensive line. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a trenches guy, but when you look at the fact that you couldn't run the football, that falls at the heels literally of the offensive line. When you're only averaging, I think it was 1 yard a carry, if I'm not mistaken, right at 1 yard a carry. They had 23 carries for 24 yards. Um, when you're giving that up, when you're not able to run the football effectively, when you're forcing your quarterback to have to throw the football 50 times because you have the inability to run the football. That starts up front. A lot of people will point to the fact and say like, yeah, Brian Kelly is the head man, so he gets all the blame, which is true. But in this particular topic, what I'm saying is, where does most of the blame go to? I believe that it falls on the offensive line. And these are guys that you have 2 first-round offensive tackles. You have DJ Chester there in the middle, Garrett Dellinger, who hobbled in and out, and I think Prince Mubanga had to go in and relieve him at one point. So this is a great offensive line. They had a bad night. So by no stretch am I saying that this is going to be a continuous situation. I feel like this is an outlier. I feel like this is something that they can be able to clean up and get better at. But I know Brad Davis was not happy with him in that film room Sunday for sure. And I know that they're going to be challenged when they head into practice all week long. They're going to be saying, we couldn't run the football. We had to make Garrett throw the ball 50 times because we couldn't get it done. I've been there, done that. I understand those conversations. Those are the talks that they're having right now. Are they saying that we're going to give up on you guys and we're going to stop running the ball? No, because they know they can run the football because they've done it in the past. What they are going to say is, we have to be able to run the football better because of the way you guys open holes and create creases and seams for us to be able to run it. I think going into the game, they had like a 1.5 sack to pressure ratio, I think it was, that they showed in a graphic during the broadcast. And I want to say that Garrett was sacked 3 times in this one. Let me see. He threw 3 picks for sure. I can't really find it right there. I know at least 2 or 3 for sure. So it's not that this offensive line is bad. It's not that at all. But they had a bad game. And as a result of it, because you couldn't run the football, because you couldn't cut the game in half, your quarterback had to throw it more times than what he would have liked. And when you throw it that many times, you're bound to make mistakes. And it just is what it is. Do you feel like now that they have this bye week off, that this will be an opportunity for them to figure out those few areas that they need to clean up on the offensive side, where there's, getting more creative in the play calling or challenging the offensive line? Do you feel like this bye week comes at the perfect time for them?
No, I think the perfect bye week was before they played on Miss. I mean, now it's like you just hoping and wishing on a start. I don't want to say it's too late. I don't want to say it's too late, but right now it's like if the things don't shape your way, if you can't get into the playoff because of stuff, then yeah, it's too late. Because right now you have 2 losses, and you know those 2 losses can blemish you for the rest of the year. So I just think that LSU. I think LSU just right now, yeah, fix what you need to fix just in case, but it's tough, man, because honestly, you drop to 16, drop out of the top 15. You got a tough Alabama team coming in 2 weeks. If you beat them, to me, it doesn't really say much because they lost to Georgia and Tennessee. But not Georgia, I'm sorry, excuse me, it was a Vanderbilt in Tennessee. And if you beat them, it just says that you have a better shot of making it in the college football playoff than Alabama. That's all it says. Because you have a lot of teams that still have 1 losses, and that's more valuable than what you have that you put on tape so far. So again, if just for the future references for Joe, I hope that they change it because next year is still next year. But I just think it's a little too late, man. I just think it's a little too late right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. We'll see what LSU can get done. After their bye week, they will face off with Alabama on November the 9th. There currently doesn't have a start time. It's a flex in between the 3:30 slot or the 6 or the 8 p.m. slot. So it could be a nighttime game. It could be a midday game. It just all depends. I do believe that game will be on ABC, so it'll be on KTC. Y'all watch us once again for that big matchup. And like Elijah said, this is more than likely going to be an elimination game, as LSU is ranked number 16 and Alabama is ranked 14th in the country. Both teams sit at 6-2 on the season, so we will be keeping our eyes on that ball game.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.